This exercise aims to examine and outline different communication styles and identify key approaches and elements to be considered in building skills for effective communication. Communication plays such a big part in our lives today. It is hard to think of a single activity that we engage in that doesn't involve communication in some way. In the increasingly diverse communities that characterise all countries in Europe today, effective communication plays a pivotal role in bringing people from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds together. Through this communication, rewarding relationships are built, a caring and respectful society is created, and people of all ethnicities can achieve happiness in life. Effective communication plays a major role in achieving all of our goals. Communication is a two-way process. You have to receive information as well as transmit a message. This means listening, understanding, and thinking about what people are trying to tell you, not just letting them know what you think. Many people are surprised to learn that only 7% of what we communicate is based on vocabulary, that 38% of what we communicate is based on voice intonation, and that 55% of what we communicate is based on non-verbal behaviour. Everyone has their own communication style, and there are thousands and thousands of variations to effective communication. What is most important is that people communicate in a sincere and honest manner with one another, in a style in which they are most comfortable. Few, if any, people can communicate effectively in a manner or style that does not fit them personally or naturally. Individuals with a passive communication style tend to avoid conflict and can become a pushover when they encounter a difficult or highly aggressive person. Passive communicators may feel intimidated by a person who expresses their ideas and needs. Being a passive communicator does not necessarily mean the person does not have strong opinions. Often they do. They just don't voice those opinions due to fear, to avoid creating any tension, or sometimes out of respect for the other person whom they would not like to offend. Individuals with an assertive communication style share their opinions and needs, and are usually interested in hearing the opinion and needs of others with whom they are interacting. Often they are direct, but they avoid being brutally honest. There is an interest in dealing with another person with respect and integrity, honestly expressing their own opinions and feelings about a given topic. Even when dealing with a person described as difficult, assertive communicators continue to be assertive and professional. Individuals with an aggressive communication style tend to walk all over other people and do not seem to care about the other person. They are concerned only about their own interests and do not mind ensuring they get what they want, often at the expense of the other person. Needless to say, the person with this style can often wreak havoc in relationships and group settings, and is often the cause of unhealthy conflict and disputes within a group. This type of communicator is often regarded as a bully and overbearing, since they will make sure their viewpoint is expressed. Effective communication skills are rated as one of the most valuable skill sets for an individual to acquire. There are 5 simple things that all great communicators do. Number 1. They speak with clarity and influence by planning and structuring their message, by tailoring it to ensure it is relevant to their specific audience, by being clear what the topic is they are communicating about, and by presenting it in a manner and format that is appropriate. Number 2. They advocate a common vision which helps to enable open communication, creates a uniform mindset that everyone can share, makes people feel that they are part of what is being proposed. Number 3. They listen, demonstrating exemplary active listening skills which enables them to hear and interpret what people are saying to them and to probe for clarity in all interactions. This encourages more open communication as other members of the group feel more at ease. Number 4. They effectively use body language, adopting appropriate postures, making use of eye contact where possible, and using hand gestures to convey and reinforce meaning. Number 5. They are culturally and politically aware, which ensures that they remove barriers to effective communication and increase the possibility of positive communication outcomes. Sound political judgment and cultural awareness ensure that a simple message can appeal to a broad audience. When we consider intercultural communication, there are additional layers of complexity added to the communication process. Language barriers are immediately obvious and recognizable, but speaking a multitude of different languages doesn't necessarily mean that you are an accomplished intercultural communicator. An individual's cultural background affects how they communicate and how they view themselves. Collectivistic cultures that are mostly found in Asia and Africa emphasize the needs and goals of the group as a whole over the needs and wishes of each individual. People from collectivistic cultures are more likely to see themselves as connected to others and often define themselves in terms of their relationships with others. By contrast, the individualistic cultures that predominate in Europe, America, and Australia are characterized by the prioritization or emphasis of the individual over the entire group. These cultures are oriented around the self and focus on being independent, and people living in these cultures see themselves as separate from others, defining themselves based on their personal traits. High context culture and low context culture are often used as somewhat crude terms to describe broad cultural differences between societies. High context cultures like Japan, China, France, Spain, and Italy are societies where people have close connections over a long period of time. Many aspects of cultural behaviour are not made explicit because most members know what to do and what to think from years of interaction with each other. Unlike their low context culture counterparts, they tend to prefer indirect verbal interaction and understand meanings embedded at many different socio-cultural levels and conveyed through a myriad of non-verbal cues. People in high context cultures communicate with simple messages that are often ambiguous. They generally avoid saying no. Low context cultures like Switzerland, Germany, Sweden, the USA, and the UK are societies where people tend to have many connections, but of shorter duration or for some specific reason. In these societies, cultural behaviour and beliefs may need to be spelled out explicitly, so that those coming into the cultural environment know how to behave. In low context cultures, people tend to prefer direct verbal communication and understand meaning at one level only. People in these cultures tend to be less proficient in reading non-verbal cues and instead communicate in highly structured messages that are clear and concise. In low context cultures, people say no directly. While these terms are sometimes useful in describing some aspects of culture, one can never say a culture is high or low because societies all contain both modes. Intercultural communication can be dynamic and rewarding, and developing an understanding of other people's cultures and behaviours can go a long way to improving relationships and building solidarity. To achieve success, there are some basic principles you can use to help improve your intercultural communication skills. In an intercultural communication context, it is important to take your time, so speak clearly and slowly, and avoid using jargon and metaphors. If you are unsure what someone has responded, don't be afraid to ask questions. It is equally important that you show respect for those with whom you are trying to communicate. Make sure you allow them ample time to respond to your questions. Be supportive and help them in the communication process. Given the anticipated cultural differences, it is imperative that you avoid making assumptions and that you clarify any issues or answers that you are unsure about. Be patient. Working in an intercultural environment can be a frustrating affair, and things may not get done when expected. Intercultural communication can be tiresome, and some of your counterparts' behaviour may be inappropriate. In intercultural communication endeavours, it is important to steer clear of blame and conflict. Keep a positive mindset, as this can help in building strategies and solutions to address difficult situations. This online exercise can help you to build intercultural communication skills and competences within your group. Play the idiom game in your group or online.